It's the weekend, it's Mailbag. I am joined this week by Ian, Pete and Foxy. If you're watching on YouTube, please do give us a like and please do subscribe and please do comment because we always answer or we always try to answer. And do tell your mates and your family that like our YouTube channel is amazing and they should subscribe too. I think we're heading for 5,000 now. So that's a pretty good milestone. It's going all right. It's going well. And if you're listening on Patreon, also go over to YouTube, do the YouTube stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, maybe go and join the Patreon. I don't know. It's up to you. Right, we'll kick off, lads, with a question from Gary. This is a belter. The stands at the new ground need naming. They do. You've been given the task to name them. What are they? As north, south, east, and west is boring. No Tim Howard or Bill Kenwright is allowed. Just to keep the peace. I think Gary's quite safe because Dave isn't on the podcast, so it's all right. Although I think Gary's probably the only person whose hatred for Tim Howard rivals Dave. Ian, go ahead. What are you naming the stands?
Naming the stand, I'm going to name one of them the Brett Angel stand.
Right, I had that one. It's got to be the street end. It's got to be the south stand. Is the Brett Angel stand in honour of the only goal he scored for Everton?
From it, was he like an inch out?
Oh, it was amazing. I was in the street end that day. It was magical. Yeah.
Definitely.
You picked the same one there. I love that. Good stuff. Go ahead. Where you go next?
I'm going to go for Tim Cahill. Or shall I just, is that for the corner flags?
That'll be the corner flags. Yeah, we'll do that. Another Everton first.
Got to have one for Neville Southall.
100%.
Neville Southall, I would go Kevin Ratcliffe. I like Kevin Ratcliffe as a youngster.
Yep. That's three.
One more. Beto. We'll have Beto.
Yes, let's have the North stand after Beto.
He'll have a KFC at the end of it.
Oh, you had a KFC concession at the new ground. Bang into that. Pete?
I think that we need to pay homage to the Bullens. I think one of the stands has got to be called, like the new Bullens or something like that. Just put new in front of everything. New Gladys
podcast.
Yeah, new Bullens. You know what I mean? Do that, and then the Park End, the Nark End, the new Nark End.
Yeah, well, I did have the North down as the Snarling section.
Yeah.
But that might be redundant because there's a lot of Park Enders, me included, the South Standers next. So,
yeah. See, I've got this feeling about that North End. I really do think that it's going to end up being the one. I think the South Stand. I think people are going to go in there thinking that it's going to be amazing. I think it will be, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be a lot of observers in there who want to be part of it without necessarily understanding what you've got to. The fume you've got to bring.
So
I think the proper fumers will get bored of it and move to the north, and then the north will end up being the one. That's my prediction. 5-year plan.
What's that? Sorry.
5-year plan. In 5 years, the north stand will end up being the proper angry heads one.
I need to get in there then. Maybe defecting was wrong. I picked my seat choice on half-time bevies. That's the only reason I went up there. Because lower, the views from lower were brilliant, and there was loads left when I was picking, but it went up at just for half-time bevies. So
for the view, nice.
I'm in the south stand.
Are you in the south, mate? Yeah.
On the corner, yeah.
What corner? West or east?
West, I think. I'm not too sure. We made book the tickets for us because we were all sitting together because over the years we've all sat separately, so we made to sort it out. I think it's
you could be by us then.
I could be.
We'll come on to that because that's the next question about the new seats. Foxy, what you naming the stands?
So I think I'll go for Mashiri, his ex-wife, and his 2 kids, just as a thank you.
What about his niece?
8 years. Sorry.
What about his niece who got all the thirst on Twitter that time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, she can have the dugout named after her. But I think just as a thank you for what he's done for us.
Fair enough.
Or you could go like Ken Wright, Carter, Moores. Going too far. I think it'd be nice. I think it'd be nice to. We're going to go corporate though, aren't we? There's going to be the Qatar Airways, whatever, or Toyota Park, whatever it's going to be, stadium, and then it'll be the Bank of America North, McDonald's Eastern. It will be. Everything will have a label on it.
US corporate hell.
Yeah, it will be. Be amazing.
Well,
be a
show us the money.
paradise.
It brings us the money.
Yeah. Peter realised I cut you off halfway through naming the stands.
Oh yeah, mine is basically just keep all the old names, but just put the word new in front of it. That's just a simple, really simple answer.
Yeah,
new park, or just call it like the dock end. I think I saw someone mention calling it the dock end or something, which I'm not against. But if you're going to go with stand for stand, then the south is technically the park end. So
it's a bit like Dick End, isn't it? Which is probably appropriate for the park end, so it works. Sorry.
Bloody hell, mate. We're only 6 minutes in. I had Snarling section for the north, the south, the Brett Angel end. The east, the Where Fucking Rich stand. That terrible time in our history. And also, that's the stand that the couch is on. So you've got to be pretty boosted to get in there. And then the west, the other side. Because it backs onto the other side. The old one.
Nice.
Come on. But in reality, if we're going to name it after players, it went the north, the Neville Southall end, south to Joe Royal end, east, Harvey Kendall Ball stand, because I think they all need a stand naming after them, but we haven't really got enough. And then the west went for the Harry Catterick stand, because there's just no memorial for Harry Catterick at the club, which is weird, I think.
We've got a flag for him, 1878, by the way. Just throwing that out there. We've got a flag for him, a two-polar for Harry Catterick.
Yeah, by the way, these flags this season have been incredible. I saw a cop-out moaning on Twitter before, saying, we built this city, it's a bit shit. Yeah. All right, mate.
Done its job then, hasn't it? Done exactly what we wanted it to.
It's just eating away, isn't it? And eating away and eating away. It's great.
The fume, honestly.
They've been...
I love it.
Just on that then, we've got... So there's nothing for Southampton, because that will look after itself. So Ipswich is the big one. What can you give us a sneak of what's going to happen in that?
We've been. I don't know if you've noticed. We've only really started getting more and more out. So we've kind of had there's been themes all the way through the season.
Yeah.
So we've had to we've been building up the collection of flags, but we haven't necessarily been using all of them at once. But when it comes to Ipswich, we're going to try and include everyone, or every stand anyway. There's going to be something happening in each stand, which will contribute to the whole thing. But yeah, it's there's more designs coming as well.
I love this stuff.
There's always the potential that some of them might annoy your cop-outs as well, just so you know. That's always, you know.
I think the surprising one for me was the 1906 Cup final one. That literally had them reading up on Everton's history to see what was going on. Incredible.
They said that we were trying to claim the 2006 Cup final.
Yeah.
And then, but to be fair, though, I saw one red actually went back because one of them had quote tweeted it and seemed to be getting quite a few likes because they were all thinking it was hilarious. And then a red replied to them and said, "Well, it's 06s in 1906, and they've got them in numerical order." And then they said, "Oh, you're talking about an FA Cup that you won in the last century." And then the same red went back to him and said, "Well, yeah, but if we win the league this year, as in they, if we win the league this year, then we're going to say it's 20, aren't we? We're not going to say it's only 2." And I was like, fair play to you. Yeah. Spoken like a true Evertonian.
It is mad when they come up with some common sense.
Yeah. It's crazy. Not often.
What you say?
I'm saying, Pete, keep up the good work. Fantastic, mate. Great to see.
Oh, no worries, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's belter.
Only happens with all the people volunteering. Only happens with, it doesn't happen unless you've got 100 people turning up every match day to give us a hand. So, I think it's one of those things. It's a collective, isn't it?
I think after my last performance, I won't be getting asked back, but we'll move on from that.
I've asked you back so many times, you just don't turn up.
I always turn up. I made a mess of the last one.
No, you did. No, you did, to be fair, yeah.
Touching one out trying to unravel it. So someone was walking up the stairs. I had the flag to the side trying to unravel it, totally oblivious, and I just looked and I nearly took her head off.
Did you see you have a few beers as well, Les?
What's that?
Did you have a few beers that day as well?
A few before. I was only going for one before. I ended up on 3. So
I should have breathalyzed Les before I handed him that flag. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's on you, that one, Pete. Right. Next up from Toffee Nose. Is your seat at Bramley Moor a worse view than your seat at Goodison? Mine's about the same, pretty much. Pete?
Exactly the same. It's a little bit slightly higher up because I wanted to be in the upper. I'm in like the upper east towards the south stand. My current view is main stand towards the Gladys. So it's exactly the same. It's like online with the 6-yard box, looking diagonally out over the pitch, and it's basically the exact same, only slightly higher up, which I don't mind.
No, I love that. I love like when people have been putting pictures on Twitter of their current seat at Goodison and the one they've got at the new ground, and it's basically the same. It's so good. It's such a good experience to be able to. I mean, the actual seat picking experience is a little bit stressful, but it was fine. It was more on me than the club that it was stressful. But it is nice to go through this, isn't it? And think like, not many fans will ever get to do this. It is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, we were lucky as well. Like the other week, we went. It was the first time I've been down there. I didn't go to the first test event, but we got asked to come on BBC Breakfast.
Oh,
like
yeah,
they'd requested. Yeah, they'd requested that we go on. Obviously we didn't know anything about it until about 2 days before they were doing it. We didn't know what it was going to entail, and the next thing, they ended up walking us out onto the pitch and everything. So we actually got to see, stand in the middle of the pitch and look around it, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
That south stand is massive, by the way. That is huge. And sorry,
how does it feel comparison to Goodison, like size wise, in the middle?
If you can imagine, the top balcony.
Yeah.
If you look at the top balcony, it's like that, but the whole way around.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally, when you stood pitch side and look up to it to like the roof, it's really weird though, because it's because of how it's angled, you can't actually see the upper tier when you're right next to the pitch, if you know what I mean. You can't actually see it. It sort of seems to end, but then you just see like the back rows. But it's crazy. But as I say, I mean, the one that really impressed me as well was the north end, the north stand, the Narky North end. Yeah,
Knock end.
that is massive. That's huge. That's actually genuinely massive compared to Gladys Street or whatever. It's just it looks smaller compared to the rest of the stands.
Yeah, it's the other one. That's it. Ian, what's your seat like then compared to the one now?
If we're saying what we class in the south stand, we're saying that would be like the park end. I'm in the corner, so we'll be like sitting on the corner flag at the park end, or if you want to class it as the Gladys Street end in the south stand. Because my seat now, I sit in the top balcony, and if I sat one seat that way, I'd have a restricted view. But where I sit, I can just see down the byline. So basically, my seat where I sit now is exactly on the 18-yard box. So when Tarkovsky scored the equaliser, I had a perfect view from Miguel to Ibrahim's header and bang. So yeah, I'm going to have a totally different view.
That's it. We're block 206 then. Are you on that side?
I think so, yeah. Like I said, I'd have to double check. My mate, like I said, my mate sorted it all out because he says, "Oh, we all want to sit together." So he says, "Just send us the money. I'll pick the seats. I'll show you what it looks like." But it does look good, really good.
Okay. Good stuff. Foxy, where are you thinking of going?
Yeah, so I've been on the waiting list for 7 years. So I've been kind of doing my tour of Goodison for that time, and I think I've sat near where you are, Ian, top balcony. I've sat to the side, so I've had the park end blocking up my view of the box and stuff, but just kind of moving about to different areas. So I get the opportunity on Wednesday to get my season ticket for the first time, which is pretty awesome, kind of having been waiting. So I'm going to get 3 for me and to my kids. I think we kind of go either side of the pitch, east or west, but kind of south stand side of it. You know, like the dead expensive seats in the middle.
Yeah.
So go to the side of that, but south stand either east or west of that, I think. Les is going to send me a few screenshots of what's left, so I'll have a look, see what there is, and kind of work out where's best for us to go. But it's just kind of nice, like the ticket process at the moment. I've whinged to Les about this every so often. It's a nightmare trying to buy tickets. They've massively oversubscribed the membership. So for the last 7 years, I could get a ticket when I wanted, and now they're just gone, and you can't get anything. So moving away from the stress of getting tickets and going when you want, and just kind of having that freedom and having your own seat, yeah, it'll be pretty nice.
Yeah, haven't done that once for a mate. I wouldn't do it. Well, I am doing it again for Man City, but I don't really want to do it again because it is so stressful. It's like for anyone who's not done it, and you have done the season ticket one, it's like clicking on the season ticket one for the new ground, but every seat just disappears straight away.
Yeah.
As soon as you put one in, it's like, nah, it's gone. What? It's horrible.
Yeah.
And you hear people's experience saying like they get into the basket and then it kicks them out, then they've got to try and get back in, and like getting kicked out like 5 or 6 times.
So for the West Ham game, I was logged on an hour before. So they go live at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, say. So I was logged on an hour before. You get there, you then wait for another 30 minutes. And by the time you kind of get to it, they're all sold out. It's just impossible. And then the frustration is if I whinge a bit more, you go on like third-party selling sites.
Yeah.
And there are millions of them there. There are millions of them on third-party selling sites with like 200-300 quid a piece. You're like, well, that's good.
You keep an eye on the resale as well.
Yeah.
That's worth keeping an eye on, the resale. And especially in the sort of the day before or the day of, because some of them like inevitably just pop up. So it's always worth keeping an eye on that.
Yeah.
But you won't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, come Wednesday.
It's right.
Yeah. Right, so we are away at Wolves this weekend. So the Good Times pod has asked, the away end at Wolves is the whole lower tier of a stand to the side, which is unusual. What are the best and worst away ends you've been in? I was thinking about this before, about the away end being down the side. Do you remember Man City at Main Road? Their home end was down the side, the kitbacks, wasn't it? That was at the side of the ground, which was very, very strange. Ian, go ahead. What's the best and worst away ends you've been in?
Best away end, I would say, would be the Stadium of Light, where they used to have it, because they followed what Newcastle did and put everybody upstairs behind the goal, where the Stadium of Light used to be behind the goal on the corner.
Okay.
You know how good it was when we beat them in the cup, and we had, I think it was 8,000 there, and it's basically it was behind that goal to the left, and it was just great in there. Really good views on that as well. But yeah.
What the worst?
Oh, the worst got to be St James's Park. That's terrible.
Still never been there, but it's...
Put it this way, there's like a million steps you've got to climb unless you can blag it into the lift. And then I think that was it the last game when Calvert-Lewin, we drew 1-1, scored a penalty. We were like right at the back, in like the second off back row. So basically, it's just like watching Subbuteo players running around. It was just, but that hasn't been the case at Newcastle all the time, because I think it was from 97 maybe onwards, 98 onwards. You used to be on the side of the pitch.
Okay.
Where obviously Ashley's getting and thought, right, get your away supporters out the way, because Newcastle fans are just underneath you as well.
Yeah.
But it's terrible.
I still don't know how them and Man United get away with that, because every other club has got away fans pitch side, and it's like a rule. It's like a Premier League rule, isn't it? But United and Newcastle seem to get special treatment that they don't have to, which is weird. Don't get it.
Well, the Sunderland, like I say, the Sunderland one was just beside the goal, but they put you upstairs there as well. So it's not as bad as Newcastle, because, like I say, it's like you're watching it in the clouds.
Yeah, it is crap, though, isn't it? Pete.
Sorry about the mad camera movements there. I've got a little dog who's just jumped up on me.
Get whiskey on.
So the laptop's currently on top of him now. Worst. So my favourite one, and I saw someone else reply with this answer, was Upton Park, the Blaine Ground, West Ham. I loved it. It was amazing, and it helped that we always, we tended to get good results there as well.
Yeah.
But I used to love going there. I really did. I mean, the welcome you got occasionally was not great. I'll be honest with you. I remember going there in the quarterfinal in the League Cup, and when Yakubu scored a late winner, I remember us getting there, and it's like me, my dad, my brother, and there was just like a big line of stewards next to where the turnstiles were, and then beyond that was like, have you seen Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, when you've got like them orcs who were just on the other side of that bridge? It was like that, and it was you could just see them giving it loads, and we were like, what's this about anyway? But yeah, Upton Park or the Lane Ground, loved that. And conversely, my worst one is West Ham, the new one.
Oh,
I
it's grim, isn't it?
absolutely despise it. I hate everything about it. And there's something to be said about if you're in the lower tier, it's slightly better in theory. That's what I thought anyway. But the times I've been there, most of the time I've been in the upper bit, which is ridiculous because you're so far away from the pitch. But when you're in the lower bit, it's even worse in terms of the atmosphere because you're just basically in a big, massive open space. There's a big gap behind you between you and the tier
That's dead strange.
above, and nothing travels. There's no atmosphere whatsoever. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Honorary shout as well to Selhurst Park because that is at the same time the best and worst because I love it, but if you're in the wrong place, it's horrendous. You can't see like anything.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a terrible away end if you actually want to watch the game. Palace.
Yeah.
So
it's like if you're towards the front, it's actually sound. But if you're in the back of that weird, because the stand's so shallow, isn't it? As well, it's so shallow. If you're towards the back, towards the right hand side, when everyone obviously stands up, you cannot see the other. You can't even see the other goal. It's mad.
Yeah, I've been twice. So I went the opening day of the season when we wore the previous season's away kit. I was at the back.
Yeah.
I think I spent most of the time at the bar anyway, but it was at the back of that and you can't see a thing. And then for the cup game, where we drew 0-0 and Beto should have got a penalty last season. I was down the front and it was sound. But yeah, it's a strange one, that isn't it? It is odd.
That first one was the one where Gabarman came on, wasn't it?
It was.
And he was absolutely awful. I remember that. And then the cup game, that was the one where Calvert-Lewin got sent off for, and then it got overturned.
Yeah, and we had the big VAR thing, didn't we?
Yeah.
Shite. Foxy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm a southerner, I'm going to pick two southern ones. So my favourite, and this is an old ground, is Adele. So the aways were behind the goal. I was a kid when I went, so I went with my dad and was on the main stand. But it's like a proper quirky old ground. It was
a weird shape.
We think Goodison's a bit quirky, but this is like quirky on steroids, but smaller. That makes sense. It was. You kind of then moved to St Mary's, just like every other stadium of a certain size, like the one Bolton and stuff. The Dell was really nice. My worst was at Bristol Rovers. So Everton played Rovers in the cup tie in about '99. I think it was Walter Smith who actually knocked. No, that was City a bit later.
Oh,
but
Rovers.
Yeah, so Rovers
me there, bloody hell.
Yeah. So the Rovers away end is uncovered. So we're playing in a cup tie. Went to extra time. It rained the whole time. Uncovered away end in the rain. We go out on penalties. Jeffers does his ankle. Get chased out of the ground by a load of Bristol Rovers scamps.
Scamps.
Yeah, fun times.
I think file that on the Twitter tonight, I think. Definitely. My worst is probably Bolton in '94. Berndon Park was a terrible ground. You had half of the stand behind the goal obliterated by a Normid Superstore, which I didn't think was real. I thought they were just adverts on the radio, but it was actually called Normid, big, like, massive supermarket. That was crap, and a fight broke out in front of us, and we drew 1-1, and they were in the division below us. It was crap. It was awful.
Was that Paul Rideout?
It was Paul Rideout, yeah, and they scored when Paul Holmes hit his own crossbar.
Yeah.
Which was something else. It was a dreadful away, that.
One of the weirdest grounds was Oldham, Boundary Park. We went there for the FA Cup game when we drew 2-2.
Oh, yeah.
And there was only like three sides to the ground, two behind the goal. Then there was one, and then there was just nothing.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. There was a makeshift studio for I think it was ITV, because Paul Dickoff was in it. You could see him celebrating when Oldham had scored. But yeah, just three sides, one there, two behind the goal, and then one to the right. There's just nothing.
Has it always been like that? I went in '94, I think. Tony Cottage scored and we won 1-0.
Yeah.
I think we went to salmon pink. I can't remember it having three sides. was freezing. I remember that.
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was.
I think my best ones, Barnsley away in 2015. I mean, it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great away end. We won 5-3 with 2-0 down at half time. But both kids came to that with me dad. And it was just like, it was when I think Dale Feu may have made his debut. And he came on second half and just tore them apart. And we won 5-3. It was.
That was the one where That was the one where we 2-0 down at half time. John Stones was crying because we'd said we turned down a bid from Chelsea, hadn't we? And Stones was wasn't meant to play, but Roberto Martinez played him anyway. I think we went 2-0 down, and Stones kind of looked like he wasn't asked. It was like a Joleon Lescott style performance.
Yeah.
Delafeu came on, absolutely rinsed him, and then at the end of the game, Martinez got interviewed on the pitch and said, "Chelsea need to understand that money can't buy them everything."
Oh,
and then we played Tottenham a few days later, and that's where that song came from. Money can't buy you stones. Love that chant.
That was a belter. That was a cracking chant. And terrible ground, but Leicester away in 2022 when Mikalenko scored. One of the best away, possibly the best away end I've ever been in. It was fantastic. But the ground's awful though.
That was when Lampard came out, wasn't it? Did he come out after the game?
Yeah,
as well?
he came out after the game. Yeah, I think we all stayed in for about 20 minutes, half an hour after the game. No one wanted to go.
I've got a funny story about that. So I was away on that day. I was in Brighton for Everton women's final game of the season, and there was a few players who were leaving as well. So we wanted to make sure that we'd get down there. And obviously, the game had kicked off earlier. So as we were coming out, the men's match had kicked off, and Tony Duggan had some a blobby stream on her phone. They were getting on the coach, and Tony comes running off to tell us that Everton had scored, and she's like that with her phone. So we're all giving it loads, and she's showing us the phone, and then we scored again, didn't we? We scored the second, didn't we?
Yeah,
quite close, yeah. So she come running off the coach again. And then it was like, so we ended up celebrating. You could hear, because the way we found out that we'd scored was the Everton coach, the Everton women coach, going nuts, followed by Tony Duggan coming running off the coach like that with the phone. Amazing.
That's class. Yeah, it was a hell of a day. That it was really good.
Pickford was outstanding that day as well, wasn't he? Made some 3 or 4 class saves.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Yeah. I still don't think that Mikalenko goal actually happened though. But anyway. Next one from Stephen. What's your favourite Everton freak injury or reason for player unavailability? And what's the best sickie you've ever pulled? Richard Wright injuring himself by tripping over a sign saying, "Don't practice in this goal." Could be hard to top. I think it's TWS put as well in a reply. He also fell out of a loft and did his shoulder one time as well. So, Foxy, any Everton injuries that stick out?
We seem to have a lot of freak injuries. Like most of our major ones, like Gbamin or Calvert-Lewin, whatever, they always seem to be a freak thing. None of them are particularly good, but we seem to have a high propensity of them. That Richard Wright one, I think, is probably. Is that the one when he fell over the "Don't stand on this sign"?
Off the grass sign,
yeah.
Practicing wasn't he? Went up for a high claim and brought his ankle down on the sign.
Yeah,
Gbamin did his knee in. Standing on a tennis ball, I think.
Well, wasn't he playing foot tennis with Gomez or something?
Yeah.
And maybe then stood on the tennis ball doing it. But it's just you're not even playing football and you then kill your career. It's even like the Calvert-Lewin one. I think he's just taking a shot in training and then ripped his quad he did? Was that
quad went.
And you're like,
we don't the foot tennis one, wasn't he?
Yeah, Gbamin.
Yeah.
And he only just come back after being out for about 9 months.
Yeah,
and he was playing foot tennis for no reason at the end of training.
Yeah. No, we have loads of those kind of things. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a particularly funny one. I'm sure the other guys have got some, but we seem to have a plethora of just stupid injuries.
It's disproportionate, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
Ian?
Well, I remember back in the day when Duncan Ferguson's house got burgled.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is true. So I remember it. I'm sure it is, but I'm sure he missed a game with a broken wrist from punching one of the burglars. I remember it. I remember coming up on Soccer Saturday, Jeff Stelling saying, "Oh, and Everton will be without Duncan Ferguson because he got an injury. He's got a wrist injury or something like that." And apparently that's what he did. He hit the burglar so hard, broke his wrist, and he missed the next game. I think one of the best ever.
Yeah, got to be. I just can't imagine the fear of like breaking into his house and then seeing him running at you, probably in his bills and nothing else. Jesus, wouldn't be good. Pete,
Am I mistaken? Isn't there a mad story about, like, was it Peter Beagrey or someone when they were away and he drove a scooter through a window?
Motorbike, plate glass window, hotel. Yeah.
I'd go for that one. I think you can elaborate, but
Tell you what,
it's incredible.
Those Howard Kendall like pre-season tours must have been unreal.
Yeah,
They must have been something else. I've got a few for this. Oh, go ahead.
With Peter Beagrey being Peter Beagrey, he probably has gone through the glass window, turned back, come through it again. Well, 2 or 3 times, just kept doing it and doing it.
100%. I think the one that sprung to my mind straight away was James Vaughan's foot at Bolton.
That looked nasty.
It was hot. Yeah, he severed an artery in his foot, didn't he? With just like basically a clash of feet. Really, it wasn't even a bad challenge or anything. I think they both just went for like the ball, and just got a studs into the top of his foot and cut an artery. And then there was Michael Keane's foot injury, where he had to wear the big boot, which was 2 sizes too big. I was reading up on that before, and weirdly, that injury occurred when James Vaughan did a 2-footed tackle on him when he was playing for Sunderland against Everton. Crazy. So basically, James Vaughan passed the foot injury on, I think.
Was we have a bit of a mad? We had a bit of a mad thing, didn't we? In like a very short space of time, where there was like a thing about arteries getting nicked. It was Shane Duffy was away with Ireland.
Oh,
I think Shane Duffy was away. He ended up nicking.
Yeah.
He nearly had to have his leg chopped off and everything. It was bad, that, but it was very close to what happened with James Vaughan as well. It was like within about 6 months of each other, and it was like proper life-threatening injury. Which, yeah.
Michael Keane.
One's face when you saw it. Remember, you looked at that.
It was grim, yeah. Michael Keane nearly lost his foot as well. Foxy, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, was there any difference in Michael Keane's performance, like with the bigger boot, or is that a bit mean? A bit too mean.
Remember him chipping one clearance straight out of play for a corner one time with the big boot. Can't be easy playing in a boot 2 sizes too big though. Got a couple of others as well that I found. Well, one I remembered was Dave Besant. He cut a tendon in his foot when a salad cream bottle fell out of a cupboard. He tried to control it with his foot instead of like a goalkeeper should, catching it. And severed the tendon in his foot.
But we've all been there at the fridge, haven't we? Where something's about to fall out and it's a glass thing. And you just go to soften the blow with your foot, don't you?
Oh, yeah, you just cushion it.
And you just try and cushion it down to the floor to save the breakage or limit the breakage.
Yeah.
I get the instinct of that, of trapping a glass bottle. Yeah.
But for a goalkeeper.
Wasn't there somebody doing it did an injury with putting the iron board down or something like that?
Oh, God, that rings a bell.
Was it one of the Liverpool number 2 or number 3 goalkeepers put the iron board down and did his shoulder or his back or something like that?
Yes.
I know a long time ago, but
I'll look that up. That rings a bell, definitely. Yeah.
It was Peggy Fixad or something like that, was it? Or something along them lines or something like
that. What a shout. Peggy Accent. Wow.
I'm sure I was just looking at the questions today and I thought, I'm sure there was somebody put the iron board down and did something to themselves.
It's a good excuse not to do the ironing, though. That's something I might go for, just to.
I don't know whether it classes an injury, but you remember when David James was David James had that thing where he was Calamity James, and he was and they were all taking the piss out of him and saying that he couldn't catch a cross, and then his excuse was that he had to go to a psychologist because they reckon him playing too many video games had affected his concentration levels.
Yeah,
so he blamed his bad form on playing basically like the N64 or whatever it was at the time, the PlayStation 1, and that was enough for him to turn rubbish. And there was another one, was it Rio Ferdinand? Rio Ferdinand did his knee from having his leg on a coffee table or something. He left his leg. He's watching telly or something, and he had his leg up on the table for too long, and he ended up like doing his knee in somehow. It like
How-
cramped up, and
How
he
long
got
was
some
he
kind of
watching
injury.
About 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That keeper was Michael Stensgaard.
Oh, right. I knew it was one of them anyway.
Yeah, it takes quite a tragic turn. Liverpool goalkeeper forced to retire at 26 after bizarre injury doing the ironing.
I think
So, it actually finished his
To
career.
retire?
Yeah, Jesus.
I'm pretty sure the lad that Villa just signed, is it Asenso? Am I saying that right? He had an injury, he was out for a bit. He was shaving his legs to keep them nice and aerodynamic. And he nicked a pimple, created a pimple, and then got a leg infection off the back of shaving his legs, having a pimple, getting infected. I think he missed quite a few weeks.
Jeez.
If that's not true, let's pretend it is true because it's quite a good story. But I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And, lessons to be learned, like you said.
Yeah.
Don't do the ironing. Don't shave your legs.
It's dangerous. Sorry.
I've had a bizarre football injury.
Go ahead.
It was in 2003. I was playing five-a-side at Darlington. The ground was called Feetham's, and they had a sports centre next to it called the Quaker Centre. Long story short, if my mate passes the ball, I tap it in an open net. Keeper saves it, rolls it out. Next thing I know, I've either slipped or one of the players has caught us. My arm's hit the wall, then it's gone up my back, and then I've landed on it. So I had a compound fracture of the humerus bone. So next time you hit your phone,
Jesus.
mine shattered. So basically, from like that to like that.
Oh,
So
that's grim.
I've got a metal bar in my arm and pins. I've got a scar from there all the way down to my elbow.
God.
And that was in 2003.
That's horrible. Jesus.
Terrible.
That's it, just dead innocuous as well.
7 minutes aside football and about 3 or 4 minutes to go when that happened.
Nightmare. I've got one more, which is a nod back to Liam's Alan Wright story from last week. If anyone didn't hear that, one of the shouts from Goodison where someone just said to Alan Wright, "You little freak." I mean, he is only 5'4", I found, so he's even smaller than me. So yeah, that was quite surprised. But apparently, he injured his knee while trying to reach the pedals in his Ferrari.
There's one for you. Alex Ferguson brought in a rule at Man United. He banned sports cars when he was there, and all the players had to get 4x4s, like the tall cars. And what he said was, his theory was that when they're finishing training, if they're trying to crouch down into a car, they put more pressure on the hamstrings, and there'd be more injuries. So he wanted them to have cars that they stepped up into. And when Calvert-Lewin was going through all of his injury problems, if you notice, he switched to a 4x4 because it was apparently it's something to do with because you're putting the pressure on your hamstrings after working out for like a couple of hours. It's getting in and out the car can actually put undue strain. So there you go.
And you've also got to factor in the fact that footballers are shit at driving.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
So that as well. Alan Wright would have had a little Tykes car, wouldn't he? In that case, then, just one of those little red and yellow ones the kids have. Hot topic. What was your favourite book as a kid? This is obviously on the back of Jordan Pickford, and no one is beaten of Mice and Men. No one saw John Steinbeck coming there with Jordan Pickford, did they? Incredible.
Well, I've got my book here.
Go ahead.
It's called Forever Everton. Now, the reason I picked this book is because we used to, at the junior school that I went to, we used to go to the library every Monday afternoon, get a couple of books, take them home, read them, and then take them back the week after. And I found this Everton book, and then I got it out, took it back, and I went to get it back, and it wasn't there. So that's it there. Forever Everton. You can see it there.
Oh, I've got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
I was 8. I think I was 9-year-old, and I got it. I used to take it to bed with us. Just put it on the side of the bed, just so I could have a little carry any weekend and active. So yeah, Forever Everton. That's mine.
Good shout. Foxy.
Stephen F. Kelly. Sorry, whoever he is.
Favorite books as a kid, I quite like Asterix and Obelix and like Tintin. I wasn't really into books with more words than pictures, so quite like the cartoon ones. Like as an adult, my favorite child books. So as I do those are your questions, I kind of flip it the other way. Harry Potter. I was a bit late into Harry Potter, but like with my kids, my oldest kid is 17, when they kind of coming through,
Yeah.
I must have read or listened to or watched those movies like 10, 15 times each. Addictive. The other one is Winnie the Pooh. I don't know if you know much of Winnie the Pooh, but there's a lot of good life sense in there, a lot of good phrases and common sense approach in Winnie the Pooh. When I got married to Lynn about 8 years ago-ish, we had a reading from Winnie the Pooh. And the starting bit is, wherever I am, there's always poo. There's always poo in me. Which is a nice opening to the wedding. And the kids were in hysterics when we did it. So,
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's like that. My favourite poem is, in the beginning there was shite, and then there was more shite. And then there was more shite.
It's saying the same thing, though. It's the same thing.
Pretty much, isn't it? Pretty much.
Is that what you had at your wedding? Is that like, yeah?
Oh, yeah, will be 100%. Yeah, maybe not. Pete?
There's a book called The Jolly Postman. It's like a series of books.
Okay.
And basically, they had like little letters. There was like letters inside. So it was like following the story of basically like a knockoff Postman Pat. So it's like a postman who goes around to all these like mystical places. And then when you get to a certain page, there's like an envelope and a letter. And you have to like, it's like an interactive type one. And yeah, just really enjoyed it. Had like loads of little cameos from the likes of Humpty Dumpty and stuff like that. It was great.
Okay.
Loved it. There was a Christmas special one as well.
This
I don't know,
post was
just
well
always stuck
connected.
with me. Harry Potter as well, by the way. I was the same as Foxy. I was late to the party on Harry Potter in terms of I didn't read the books as they were coming out up until I knew the last one was coming out, so I read them all. And then the last one, I was over in Spain when it came out, and my mum was coming over a bit later than me. She brought me the book, and I spent 4 days in the apartment and didn't leave.
Yeah.
I just stayed like because I didn't want anyone to spoil it for me. I used to go for like 6 weeks in the summer, so I had time. It wasn't just like spending me all holiday there. But I remember just having like this amazing tan because I was basically spent the whole time on the 4 days on a balcony, apart from like this little white patch where the book was. Was reading this thing, yeah. But yeah, Harry Potter, or The Jolly Postman. If you want to get your kids a really nice book for Christmas, The Jolly Postman's Christmas is amazing.
Sound. I love that.
Cool.
Mine was the Twits, I think.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. You can't beat Roald Dahl books. And Stephen agrees with me. He says Ezio Trot by Roald Dahl, which is a belter. Tom said the 95-96 News of the World Football Annual. Sent a picture of it. Had a picture of Alan Shearer with the league title on the front. So, don't know. Swelter the Chef said the Phantom Toll Booth was about 10 when I first read it. Finished it, went straight back to the start and read it again. Wonderful book. Read it to my son when he was about 8, and he loved it as well. As an 18-year-old, he still claims it's his favourite book. And Toffee Nose said The Elves and the Shoemaker, Ladybird version. Check out the illustrations, Foxy. One for you there. Check out the picture. Right, here we go. Final 2 questions this week, and they are from a couple of weeks ago. So Ben asked, ever lied in a job interview or CV? Ever been caught out on it? Pete, you got a wry smile there, so I'll come to you first.
No. I wouldn't admit it if it did. Thinking about it now, I don't think I have. Don't think I have. Come back to me. Let me have a think.
Okay. Foxy?
Yeah. So I'm not going to admit to ever lying at a job interview. I did used to, when I was young and trying to impress people, lie about what I did. So I don't know if you've ever done this. You pretend you're like on the path to sporting greatness or whatnot. So there's 2 things I used to lie about. One, that I was about to turn professional at golf. So I used to play a lot of golf as a kid. And the other one was football, naturally. And kind of growing up, there was another footballer with my name. I think he played for Norwich and other places of a similar age. And going through, and I do wonder if people who knew me back then wonder if that's the person that they then spoke to, or whether they think it's someone completely different. But yeah, I used to like that stuff.
Yeah, just for clarity, Foxy's first name's David and not Rule. So,
well,
yeah.
Although that's another story, though. I remember.
Oh, go ahead.
So I had Fox on the back of my shirt as a kid growing up. So when I went to Goodison, like Fox on the back of it. And I remember walking down Goodison Road, and I must have been like 15, 16. And someone shouted, "Oh, we signed Rule Fox." And like clearly I don't look a lot like Real Fox.
No, there's a slight difference. There's a slight similarity, but
I'm a bit taller. That's it.
Ian?
No, because I've never had a job interview. I got my job through my dad working for the company that I work for. So I just started the next day. I was like, you start there, you do this, you do that. So I've never. The only time I've really lied.
Right. I think interviews are awful.
I remember lying one night when I was out with my pals waiting in a queue to get into a nightclub, trying to impress some lasses by telling them that I played for Everton under 21s and I was up here with England because they were playing at Newcastle, and it just didn't work at all. He went like, no, he worked for Regan's team, man.
Never got away with it then, though.
No, nah.
It's a good try though. Good effort. No. Always worth a punt, isn't it? The only thing I've ever done, I think, is I inadvertently ballsed up an interview by being too honest. So it was a university interview. I had my CV done like obviously months before going through the interviews. And when I made my CV, I was playing football on a Sunday. But when I went for the interview, I packed it in. So the interviewer said, look at your CV. Can you tell me something about, like, you enjoy playing Sunday League? Can you tell me a bit about that? I was just like, I don't play Sunday League anymore. And didn't even qualify by the fact that I used to play, but I've stopped. I just said, I don't play. So it just looked like blatantly. It was like, when, like, on your early sort of CVs before you've done any work experience, that everyone goes swimming, everyone plays badminton, everyone enjoys reading.
With pictures.
yeah, with pictures, obviously. Yeah, it was just one of those, and I just completely flapped the interview. I just don't know why. But anyway, it all worked out in the end.
I haven't thought about it. I do actually. There is something on my CV which is really sort of stretching the meaning of the word. So one of my first jobs, I worked in a carvery, so the halfway house by where I live, and there's a carvery. So I started off as like a kitchen porter and then moved up to, I think at the time it was called like second chef, basically. Now, using the term chef as, and this is no offense to anyone who works in a carvery, but using the term chef is kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit in terms of, when you put chef on your CV, I can cook, right? I'm happy to go up against anyone in terms of producing a nice scran. But I think that calling myself a chef on my CV back in the day is probably a bit of a stretch.
I don't know, Pete. I've heard you pasta recipes. I think.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I can cook a top scran. I'll cook a top scran for anyone. But yeah, I just think, as I say, no offense, nothing wrong. I enjoyed working there. It was great. Really hard job as well, by the way. Absolutely work to the bone. But I just think for what I was doing, I don't think on reflection, I call myself a chef, if that makes sense.
Yeah, do you know, I've kind of done similar in work and just sort of given myself a job title that stuck because no one really knew what it did. So yeah, but I won't go into that anymore.
Really good at carving turkey, though. Really good at carving turkey.
Yeah, Peter. I think you need to do us all an end of season scran. To be honest, I think this needs to happen. I reckon. Good stuff. After Southampton, when we're all crying. Oh no, we'll all be in the. We won't be leaving the ground, will we? So there's no point.
I'll bring a picnic for everyone.
It just depends how long it takes out. Just depends how long it takes to unscrew your seat. Yeah,
is anyone doing that? I've said this before. I think if I had a wooden seat, I'd want the back bit of that with the number on, but I don't want my plastic seats.
Are they not going to sell them? I mean, you might want to just take it anyway. But
you're looking about 50 quid a pop at least, aren't you, for your seat?
Like you said, the last time I was on the mailbag, you said you were going to try and get a tile from the toilets.
Yes, so Pete might have sourced them. We won't say any more, but we may have sourced some tiles. We'll keep you posted. Let us know if you want one. We could have some. But anyway, we'll move on from that.
Will it be clean? Be clean post urinal, I take it. It won't be freshly.
Well, Pete's got connections in the printing industry, but it's nothing to do with that. It's actually nothing to do with that. I've like nothing to do with that, contraband or black ones getting made.
I think the words that we used were they haven't been sullied by the fumes, by the piss fumes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They haven't been.
Yeah.
Well, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I only want solid ones.
Fair enough.
We'll move on. Final question from Stephen. If you could lie a liar, the movie where Jim Carrey can only tell the truth, one person, who would it be, and what would you ask, Ian?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Come back to us. Go to Pete or Foxy, and I'll have a think about it. That's a tough one. That one.
Okay, go ahead then, Pete.
That's Donald Trump if he was ever on Jeffrey Epstein's plane.
There's pictures of that.
What a shout.
Allegedly.
Foxy?
I don't know if it's too soon, but I'd like an Everton focus on it. I'd be really keen to understand Bill Kenwright, like the last 20 odd years. That'd be fascinating.
Yeah, it's not too soon. That was my original thought, actually.
Well, it's just a name as well, isn't it? Yeah, I think there's so much gone on over this club, and he's been like front row for so much of it with Mashiri before. I'd be fascinated to know the truth of some of the stuff.
It would, yeah. Sadly, I don't think we ever will, though, will we? But yeah,
probably for the best. It'll be gone soon, and we can just move on to the bright new horizon.
And the Bill Kenwright South Stand.
Obviously. I hope so. Opposite the Philip Carter USM stand.
The far out Mashiri East.
And the John Moores West. There we go. I miss Greg. Greg
that's got to be it.
Yeah.
Ian?
Greg's can just be outside.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. That's the one.
Sorry. Mine would be to ask Mashiri who taught him accountancy.
Oh, God, yeah, what a shout. Yeah. Millionaire accountant, shit with numbers.
Yeah.
What a gig. I think mine would be I'd ask Tony Evans if he really did go for a piss just as it all kicked off at Heysel. Because he's made a career out of that, and I would love to know. Anyway, there we go. That has been this week's mailbag. Thanks to Ian, thanks to Pete, thanks to Foxy, thanks to everyone who sent questions in. Genuinely, this show would be shit. It wouldn't even exist without you. So thanks for sending in questions. That's it for this week. We will catch you next time on Mailbag.